Ooh,
Good,
stop.
good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Peachy.
Mm, it's been a day. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah. I want to murder for you.
yeah, yeah. It's, there's, okay. If you remember, about a year ago, it was a year ago last month, a hood fell down on my arm at work and I got hurt. Well, the person across from me wasn't paying attention to what they were doing and almost dropped it on my arm again. So
Yeah.
that was, mm,
We threatened to kill Kenny last time. I don't know who this one is, but we're gonna murder
mm, yeah.
her. So no bueno.
Oh boy, no. How are you?
Fabulous. School got out today.
Oh, marshmallow's done.
Yeah. He has excellent grades all the way through. The only thing that he kind of needs to work on is story problems. But it's story problems. Like everybody struggles with those.
You know, I'm weird. I loved story problems.
Once I got older, I cheated and I would eliminate the story and just do the math part.
Yeah.
And then I would go back through and figure out what I actually had to do with the numbers. Um, my older or one of my older brothers couldn't do him to save his life. I don't think he ever fully understood them. And then my other brother, any math problem, and he could figure it out because he's
That's
one of those people who went on to like trigonometry and all of that and went on to school for more or college for more math.
yeah.
That weirdo.
Here's the funny thing. I actually hate math, but I'm good at it. So when okay, I was pregnant for my daughter my senior year of high school, and very stupidly, um, because of morning sickness and things like that, I got kicked out April of my senior year. So after I had her, I went back and my one teacher, and she was like one of the best math teachers I ever had, said, you know, you're very good at math. You really should go and think of that as a career. So I'm like, accounting. I'll do accounting. So that's what I went to school for, and I am a shop rat. Sorry, hood rat, because
True.
everyone in the shop, we're all shop rats. But I have been slammed by a hood, so I'm a
You
hood
have.
rat.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Yes, that's what. And then I got home from work tonight and had like I literally up until 5 minutes ago was doing notes.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I
Um,
had such a good start the other night. I had such a good start,
I remember.
and I got sidetracked. Well, no, I started my notes after the sidetrack, and that's actually my recommendation for this week. We'll get to that in a minute. And I don't know, just the last couple nights, I just didn't get around to doing them. And yeah, work has, we've had a lot of downtime the last couple days. So I thought, I'm going to take my notebook with me. We didn't have downtime today.
I discovered a lovely thing. Not that I have a hair in my mouth. Um, so you're in Michigan, I'm in Wisconsin, and Minnesota has also been experiencing this. the smoke from the fires in Canada and the other country, I forget which one. Between that and the pollen, I made giant ball of itchiness.
I'm sorry. That's not fun.
Uh-uh, uh-uh.
It's not fun.
And I have actually run out of my Benadryl. I have the last pill sitting on my coaster as like the last resort pill, the break in case of emergency pill.
Yeah.
However, I did get some very cool pictures of the moon. At one point, it looked like a giant burning eye, like from A Lord of the Rings. Oh shit, you've never seen it?
No. Nor have I seen a Harry Potter.
How?
Not my thing. Not my thing.
I don't know that we can be friends. You haven't seen Hocus Pocus, even though the movie's floating around at your house.
It is.
You
And I
haven't seen
eventually
Harry
have to
Potter.
get that. I eventually have to get that back to Rachel. So
Yeah, you haven't seen Harry Potter. You haven't seen Lord of the Rings. Star Trek is your only saving grace.
and that was not
I know that was only per
that was forced
injection.
upon me. That was forced upon me. But I
know.
paid I will admit I did get into some of them. Like, okay, I've watched the original. I used to watch that actually when I was a kid with my mom. And there was one episode that scared me. It actually caused me to not eat fried eggs.
Oh my god.
But
Oh,
like Deep Space Nine and Deep Space Nine is my favorite. I like that one. Like I will voluntarily watch that one.
I like Next Generation.
I don't mind it, but I like Deep Space Nine better.
Oh shit. And which one was the one that had all the Borgs?
Deep Space Nine.
Okay. Yeah, that one.
No.
I don't know what it was. With the female captain.
Voyager.
Yeah, I think it was Voyager.
I think so. Yeah. See, I
Anyway,
know
that
See,
one because I love Seven of Nine.
yeah, that well, um, yeah, Deep Space Nine had a lot of Borgs, but then there was a lot in Voyager too. Because there
I like
was
Voyager better because that's where she's more helping and all of that.
yeah. Yeah, no, I like Deep Space Nine. That's my favorite.
Okay.
Okay, so let me get to my recommendation this week.
We could stay on Star Trek for quite a while.
Yeah. Okay, I posted about it. So if we're friends on Facebook, you have seen I am obsessed with this show called Dark Side of the Ring. Okay, when I was younger, my older brother was really into wrestling. So of course we had one TV. So if that was on, that's what you watched, or you didn't watch nothing. So I either watched wrestling or I would read because I'm a nerd. But um I went to wrestling matches and things like that. So um that's what this is about. It's like, it's a series. So each episode is different. And it's like I watched the first one that was Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, and like their real life love story, and then their uh, wrestling love story, and it just awesome. It's such a good show, and I'm actually on season 2, the second episode, which is about the whole Chris Benoit thing.
Okay.
So yeah, that one's. I mean, of course, everyone. That was like a huge, huge story
Yeah.
when it happened. So a lot of it I already knew, but I also remember her when she came into the whole wrestling thing. As apparently she had a career before that, but like first time I saw her, she came on as Woman. Started out as kind of a nerdy looking thing, and then it was like a Sandy from Grease type thing. She was like nerdy, and then she comes out with like the same little spandex suit and tight pants. Yeah, it was the whole thing. So like I remember her from when she that. So yeah, fun.
I remember like the wrestlers from the time of The Undertaker and Stone Cold and all of them, and The Rock,
See, that
back
was
when he was The Rock, before he was actually acting, when he
yeah,
was just wrestling.
yeah. I see. I'm older, so I'm more of like when Hulk Hogan started and Ric Flair, and I was actually just telling because I was telling my daughter and son-in-law about this show. Now, when I was watching it, like my favorite was the Fabulous Freebirds, and it
How about
was,
Macho Man Randy Savage?
eh. I mean, yeah, I watched him, but yeah, I can take him or
I, lo-
leave him.
I loved
His
his outfits.
his speaking annoyed the fuck out of me. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that.
R.I.P. Um, but my absolute favorite was either Michael Hayes
Okay.
or Tommy Rich.
Okay. Not gonna lie, I totally named both of my older boys after Stone Cold,
Oh, yeah. I
except it's backwards. It went Austin, then Steven instead of Steven Austin.
yeah. So that's my recommendation. And honestly, I guess you really don't even have to be a fan of wrestling if you just like, well, there's a couple of the episodes that are true crime-ish, like Bruiser Brody, who was murdered backstage at a wrestling match thing.
Hmm. I think there's
Um,
been a few incidences. I know
yeah,
there's been multiple assaults.
yeah. And then, like I said, it's a 2-part episode on the Chris Benoit thing, and that's really as far as I've gotten. But there's that one, and uh, like uh, like the double cross of Bret Hart, and just all kinds of shit. Just I love it. It's
Okay.
so
My recommendation for this week is sleep hypnosis. And if you look up sleep hypnosis on YouTube, you can find them for like everything, healing your inner child, cutting cords, you know, um, self-love, increasing your third eye, opening your third eye, aligning your chakras. I mean, they're there for everything. And you can go from anywhere a couple of hours to 8 to 12 hours.
I listen to Rain every night.
I'm sorry.
Me too. And here's the thing. I'm the one that started that because I do like a good thunderstorm. But then my husband's like, "Oh, I like this." And now Now, before I got married, I was a fall asleep to music type person with the radio
Mhm.
on. And then I had to adjust to a fan. And I get used to the fan. And then he switches up on me again.
I have always been a music sleeper as well, like even from a little kid. Like I remember fourth grade, I had a radio on my bed and I would have it playing. And when I felt myself starting to drip off, I had to turn it off because if I didn't, I got in trouble for leaving the radio on all night.
Nope, mine
Because
was on all night.
yeah, I wasn't allowed to leave mine on all night. Um, and then when my husband, he's a fan sleeper, but not only is he a fan sleeper, he has to have a high velocity. And so he actually removes the spokes from the back of the fan and will take off the front cover.
That doesn't sound safe.
I didn't say it was safe. I just say it was modified. He has done this with every fan we have owned.
Yeah, no, with Roy, with the fan, the louder the better. And some of the fans were old. And to me, fire hazards.
Okay, so there's the warning right there. Men who like fans. We get
Run.
it. You like the fan, but for fuck's sake, be safe.
Right. Now, just before Christmas, I had been eyeing this white noise machine or sleep machine, whatever the fuck you want to call it,
Mhm.
for quite a while. And then because Amazon loves me, I got a notification that the price lowered.
Mm.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it.
I have been looking into something for Marshmallow, because ever since he was a baby, like newborn, came home and he was using this lamb. It has wave, rain, whale, and something else. I forget. There's four sounds, but he only uses the rain. Only the whale freaks him out. um,
I get it.
and so I want to get him something that has rain sounds because he likes a heavy rain. Um, but I haven't found anything that I think would work for him because he likes to have it right next to his head.
The rain machine is, well, it started out next to me. And then I showed Roy how to, because there's no actual buttons except for the power button.
Oh, geez.
Everything else is just like flush with the rest of the machine. And this thing is cool. It's a sleep machine. It's got like a thing that looks like a handle that's a touch light.
Mhm.
And if you've got a phone that's got the wireless charging capabilities, it is also a phone charger.
Cool. Mine does have wireless capabilities.
Mine does not. But you could get like a little attachment to plug into it
Mhm.
and make and like I can get that. Yeah, it's so.
Oh.
All right.
So anyway,
Anything
on
fun
to
coming
yours.
up?
Are you gonna make me say it?
Oh yeah, you got a birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my birthday is Saturday.
yeah.
I'm gonna go see my husband in the morning.
Nice.
So I
Nice.
think
And
this will be the first year I'll get to see him on my birthday in since 2019.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yep. So and I got to see him on his birthday last year. So that was nice.
I got to work on your birthday.
Me too. And the night before. So Sunday will be fun.
Yeah. Yes. So Sunday, I'm going to spend the day with Kelly.
Yeah.
I'm really bummed
So
you're not going to be here.
yeah. Same.
Bummed.
Fucking IRS, man.
Yeah. Slow. Slow. I don't
Yep.
know if anyone else can see it, but like the side of my face is swollen. I oddly enough had a cavity filled on Monday, and it's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare.
Yeah, you shouldn't have that kind of swelling from a cavity or a filling. Sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, you had the filling because of a cavity, but
yeah. Which I'm gonna tell you, like all my life, I used regular toothpaste, and then when I started with the essential oil thing, I started using their toothpaste,
Mhm.
and that doesn't have the fluoride in it.
Ah,
So I think that's what caused my cavities.
possible. Kind of the wrong person to ask. I
Yeah. So
don't have enough left to make to be able to weigh in on that. I can tell you, kids will deplete the calcium in your body and destroy your teeth.
mm,
Yay!
that they do. Um, so yep. Because I guess there was only a couple people that had signed up, so Kelly made some changes to it.
Oh,
And instead of the whole thing on like the event she had scheduled for Saturday, it's now all going to Sunday. And yeah,
that really sucks.
so now I got to be there, I think, an hour earlier,
Mm.
and the location changed,
Oh,
which it's like 15 minutes further away now. But in the grand scheme of things, 15 minutes, no big deal.
right.
So I'm excited. So maybe I'll have something really cool to talk about
That's awesome.
next
I
week.
can't wait to hear about it. I honestly can't. I wish you guys could Zoom me
That would
and
be
I could do it that way.
that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm scared my good vape is dying.
I actually just got this one, and then I got to work today, and Rachel handed me the same one and said it's not strong enough for me, which this one isn't strong enough, but they also didn't have the one that I've been, yeah. So
Yeah, earlier last week I had gotten one, and I was supposed to get one. Like my good one is strawberry banana, but the one that the guy gave me on accident was strawberry cream. And yeah, the strawberry cream is super, super mild. And yeah, it's like nothing. And then my good one is the strawberry banana, which is almost gone. What is your topic for this week, Miss Jellybean?
okay, my topic is the disappearance of Eric Lee Franks.
Mm,
And this is one it like I knew about it because it happened here in Saginaw.
okay.
Um and his mom or his family runs a page on Facebook, and I will have that the link for that in the show notes. It's Find Eric Lee Franks, and that is what. And I'm just looking. Yeah, there was an article that I wanted to look at as like a footnote type thing. I just need the bitch to load. So I can get it's I mean I got one, two, I got like 3 pages front and back and a 4th front. And towards the end, they get really sloppy. So you might have to bear with me because I'm trying to eat and watch. And yeah. Okay. And my resource for this was an episode of Disappeared.
Okay.
Now, see, I thought it was like a season premiere, but it was apparently season 8, episode 9. So I was a little wrong. So I missed his actual birthday. Oh, fuck. Sorry, the age I needed wasn't okay. So he was born in September 1974. Good, thank you. In North Carolina. And he was adopted by his parents, Jim, who was a pastor, and Joanne. And they later conceived a daughter, and they were just very happy family. So born in North Carolina, and the family moved to Tennessee, where Jim took over a church. And as a teen, Eric dreamed of being a screenwriter, or I wrote director, but it could be producer. I don't know. Him and friends, girlfriends would make videotapes like movies and act things out. When he was 19, he started a relationship with a girl named Kendra. Eric, after they had started dating, Eric tells his mom, like, you introduced us. And what it was his mom had worked at a place in a mall. And Kendra also worked there too. And she was like, I probably did because, quote, she was cute and he was cute. But she didn't recall introducing them, but apparently she did. So then Eric moves into an apartment with a friend, but his family didn't realize like how serious him and Kendra were. Then Kendra breaks his heart and moves to Michigan to be with an old boyfriend named John. You don't like John. And Eric often referred to Kendra as the one who got away, which is the title of the episode, the one that got away. He visited California because, remember, he wanted to be a screenwriter, director, producer, whatever. But he couldn't afford to live there. By the time he was 26, he was living in Tupelo, Mississippi, and searching for a family to call his own, because remember, he was adopted. So there was like, obviously I don't know, maybe I'm adopted. I was always told I was adopted. So who knows, maybe. But, and like, I know a lot of people that were adopted, and they all say pretty much the same thing. Like, something always seemed to be missing. He loved his family. He loved his family. So he meets a woman named Gail, and she has a little boy. And Eric considered the little boy his because, he was so little when Eric met Gail, and then they got married. They had a happy marriage, but then in 2006, Eric is devastated when his dad passes away. In 2008, with the failing economy, he had lost his job. So he moves, his wife and stepson. By this time, his mother and sister are living in Ohio. So he moves up there thinking it'll be financially better. He kind of has a hard time holding down a job. After 4 years of marriage, they start struggling over financial issues. And remember, in 2009 is like Facebook comes around.
Okay.
So he finds no friend on Facebook, and her name is Leah Upchurch. And they like did like the whole catch up thing over a few days and then just talked regularly. And he talked to her a lot about like his struggling marriage. And like at this point in his life, he's really missing Kendra. So he decides, fuck it, I'll look for her. So at that time, he's not finding her on social media. So he reaches out to John, the ex-boyfriend that she moved to Michigan for. And he types out like a nice cordial message, like that he's looking for her, and if you know how I can get in touch with her, please let me know. So John gets back with them and tells them that not only is he still in contact with Kendra, but they are married and there's kids. But he agrees to pass the message on to his wife. So then Kendra reaches out to Eric and they do the whole catch up thing. And then she tells him, there's something really important I need to talk to you about. Well, before they can actually talk about it, he's like creeping her Facebook and notices that her oldest daughter was born less than 9 months after she moved to Michigan. It's a girl. So he tells his mom that after like pushing her for answers, she finally says, yes, this is your daughter. So at this point, Emily, the daughter's name is Emily. She's 15. So he decides his marriage is in the crapper. He is going to pack up a few of his things. See, normally it's hot in here. Tonight it's cold. Sorry. So he tells his mom he's happy. Like he's got a biological relative. It's his daughter. He's over the moon. So he tells his mom, his friends, his family, I'm moving up to Saginaw. And here's the weird thing about, nope, that's before COVID. So it had to be about 5 years ago now. Roy and I went out to eat, and the waiter looked just like this dude.
Really?
Just like him. Yeah. So he packs up. Him and his wife are separated. He's ready to end it. The only thing that sucks about this is he really, really loved his stepson. But October 25th, 2010, he packs a few of his belongings.
FYI, I'm breaking the glass.
Okay. Now, does this make you sleepy? Do I got to hurry this shit along?
Nope, you're fine.
Okay. So he loads up a few of his belongings, packs up. He has a tan Chevy Malibu, and he heads north to Saginaw. He had only planned a visit to like meet and get to know his daughter, and his plan was to move back home and hopefully continue a relationship with her. But after 5 months, he tells his mom he's staying. Every Friday, and because he was living in a motel. So every Friday, Kendra and Emily pick him up and they go roller skating, which I'm trying to figure out which roller rink was open still in 2010 and 11. Yeah, I don't know. could be the one in Bridgeport, but I don't know. It doesn't say where they went, just that they went roller skating. And I didn't write this in my notes, but there was like a really cute like side note in the story that um on one of these roller rink outings, his daughter gave him like it looked handmade, like a Rastafarian. Am I saying that right? Hat.
Hmm.
It's got like the colors and like the dreads attached to it.
Okay.
And it was that Leah Upchurch that tells the story in the episode where she was like, there's not many men that would have put this thing on and taken pictures, but he like did it with pride and he was happy. I know a lot, but of course, I think she's in Texas
Okay.
or
Yeah.
something.
Well, no, there's a whole big community down there. Believe
Yeah,
it or not.
I don't know, but she just thought it was cute that he was happy, but he was happy because that meant his daughter was accepting of him to
Hmm.
give him a gift like that. So, um, and initially he was introduced to her, to Emily, as an old friend of her mom's. Um, and then at one point, um, Kendra leans over and whispers to him, she knows. And I know it's in my notes, but yeah. So Eric tells his mom that he's leaving the motel, and him, Kendra, and the daughter, and she has another daughter. I don't, doesn't say if she had planned on bring, I would assume as a mom. Um, they were gonna get a house. The house didn't have the best cell reception. So phone calls weren't gonna be like as frequent. Um, but he had promised to come home within 5 months. Now, part of the reason for his visit was a dentist, which is a swear word to me right now. Um, he had had some work done, and it was like a follow-up appointment to that was already prepaid, and I guess it was like not cheap, but of course dental work's not cheap.
Nope.
I actually, while I was at my appointment, because I grind my teeth and
Okay.
I
Sexism.
clench and I clench,
Hmm.
so I was fitted for a mouth guard. um and I only had to pay a little more than 90%, or like 90% was covered, and
Okay.
I still had to pay $58.
Yeah.
So dental shit is not cheap.
Uh-huh.
Um, so he's supposed to come home in July for this dentist appointment that's prepaid. And he had told his mom he wanted to bring Emily so she could meet her granddaughter. Um, they never make it. Um, so at this point, like he's communicating with his mom and family through email. So there wasn't really a major concern because there was communication.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so it was when he called to tell his mom about getting a house, coming home in a few months to and bringing Emily. That was on March 10th, 2011, and that was the last time she ever spoke to her son. Um, so yeah, they're communicating through email, and everything seemed fine. She wasn't really concerned. But then after several months, his mom starts wondering why the phone call stopped. Um, and then more months pass, and now his mom's really starting to worry. So she's talking to her sister, uh, Deborah Turbeville.
Sure.
That's a crazy name. So the sister, so this would be Eric's aunt, starts investigating. And so she starts Googling the people that he came to be with in Saginaw. So through this Google search, they find Kendra's phone number. And Kendra tells Eric's aunt that she had not seen Eric since, remember this, mid-April. They had an argument. Kendra claims that Eric went out to her house and sat out there for 2 or 3 days, calling and texting, but she refused to talk to him. So he said, fine, I'm going to California to find an old girlfriend. And he drove off, and Kendra hadn't seen him since.
Hmm.
And going to California made some sense to the family because of what, his hopes and dreams were, the screenwriter, director. But he hadn't been out there in years, so he really didn't know anybody out there anymore. And remember, he only went out there for a couple visits.
Right.
And by November, oh wait, nope. Going to California made sense to the family because he had always dreamed of living there, but that doesn't explain why he hadn't called. So by November, so this is 8 months later, 8-ish months later, his occasional emails stopped. His mom says that this is very unlike him, and her sister are like, what the fuck do we do? So the mother calls her local police department, which is Archbald, Ohio. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. To report Eric missing. So that police department contacts Michigan, and they issue a bolo, be on the lookout, for his 2001 tan Chevy Malibu. So of course the aunt is like just searching for whatever. So she's going through his Facebook and noticed that a frequent commenter is that friend Leah Upchurch. And she recalls a story that Eric told her about a cleaning lady at the motel. And Eric was like flirty by nature. And the woman seemed to take the flirting seriously and kind of like overstepped some boundaries, was sending him pictures. She was married. And Eric had heard that her husband was tied to some unsavory peoples, which in the area that they were in, I can believe it. So then they were like, okay, did maybe the woman's husband have something to do with it? But there was like no evidence for any of it, because once the Michigan police get involved and they start investigating, they talk to her, and there's like no, like he kind of lets her know, like, no, Kendra does not want me and you talking this way. So, because he was in love with Kendra, like he loved Kendra. So November 11th, Joanne gets an email from Eric's email account. And the email reads, and this is a direct quote, I have a new phone number. Then he gives the number. I just got it today and we'll be setting it up. I am finally getting a roof over my head and back on my feet. I have some questions for you, but I'll ask later as there are people over my shoulder. Joanne, his mother, did not believe he wrote this. Now this is where it's going to start getting sloppy, so you got to bear with me. She immediately calls the phone number that was in the email, and the phone wasn't set up. And then later on, the police try to call. It's never set up. So,
Nice.
yeah. She responds to the email just in case it is Eric, telling him that, she's been worried about him, that the police are looking for him, and she's not going to call the police off until she hears his voice, which she doesn't. 10 months after Eric goes missing, the case is handed over to Detective Sean Waterman.
That's actually an easy name.
Yeah, like that never happens.
I know.
And then the one of the newscasters here in town, he's on the episode. He doesn't really add much to the story, I don't think. Honestly. Well, yeah, maybe a little bit. We'll get to that. Okay, so they are out on Airport Road, which you have been by there with me.
Okay.
Next to Harry Brown Airport, where the girlfriend Kendra lived. Her husband answers the door and claims he never met Eric, but his wife was seeing Eric, but he didn't seem pleased about it when he mentioned that. Like, he seemed pissed. So then Waterman speaks to Kendra, who said, "No, when did she tell the aunt? Do you remember?"
April.
Mid-April,
April.
yes. She tells Waterman that she hadn't seen Eric since March. And I got liar. When she helped Eric pack and he took off for California, which she earlier claimed to the aunt that he was at her house for or like by her house, at her house for 2 or 3 days calling and texting. And now it's the motel. So yeah, she can't
And
get
that she
her.
helped him move.
So she can't get her story straight. So Kendra and John are both deny having anything to do with Eric's disappearance. So next, Waterman goes to the motel and speaks with the owner. The owner tells Waterman that Kendra was alone when she packed up Eric's motel room. And he had last seen Eric on March 14th when he paid for his room for a week in advance. And then Kendra also said she never had plans to leave her husband, which is not what Eric told his mom. And who knows, that may have been fantasy on his part, wishful thinking.
Yeah. At the same time, though, she could have been leading him on, letting him believe that it was going to be, and
yeah, and honestly, that's what I think, and you'll see why in a little bit. So 3 months later, after the initial visit from Detective Waterman, Kendra, John, and the 2 daughters pack up and move to Florida. They're suspects, but they haven't been charged with anything. So they are not at that time questioned anymore. So 11 days after he last spoke with his mother, there were a couple of outgoing calls and then no more activity on his phone except for incoming calls. On April 5th, which is a couple weeks later, Eric's phone starts making, okay, this is where it gets sloppy. Eric's phone starts making outgoing calls, though none are to his family or to Kendra or her house or anything. Several salvage yards had been called. And when they investigated, the car was never taken to any of them. So the car wasn't found yet. There was a phone call to a dentist office. Eric wasn't a patient there, but Kendra was. And she had even told, I can't remember now, and I just watched it like a half an hour ago. The mom, I think, or the detective, I'm sorry, that I wouldn't use Eric's phone to call my dentist. So are you admitting you have it? Which is
Sounds like it.
which is a legit question.
Right.
So 4 months later, the phone goes silent, and after tracking, pinging the phone, they
Mhm.
realize it never left Saginaw. So even if he went to California, he didn't take his phone.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, not normal.
Yeah. So at this point, his mom comes to Saginaw and she starts hanging flyers. And I do remember seeing these flyers. So, and that's kind of when I was like, And I've been following this page for a long time, at least 8 years, at
Wow.
least. Yeah. So, and not so much anymore because I don't know, it's just kind of sad. What do you keep saying over and over? I'm sorry. I hope you find them.
Hmm.
Um, so the mom and aunt both come to Saginaw and they're hanging flyers, and the mom goes on the local news, and which I don't watch the news because it's depressing. Um, but a witness comes forward after seeing the flyers. It was
Wow.
a neighbor at the motel. Like he was in the next room or a couple rooms over from Eric, and they had a lot in common. They both like to read. Um, a lot of the same hobbies. They just like instantly became friends. Um, and he immediately calls investigators to say, like, this has probably been solved and he's probably been found and everything's fine, but this is what I know. And he actually agrees to go on the news if he's hidden, disguised, blacked out, blocked
Oh,
out,
okay.
shadowed kind of thing.
Anonymous.
Yes. Um, and like you can kind of see his outline and shit, but you just can't see what he looks like. But he stated that Kendra and Eric fought frequently about how to handle the situation with the daughter and her being married, and how do they proceed, basically. Um, and it's also okay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I know I wrote it down. Okay. The witness also comes forward and says that he overheard a man who he believed was Kendra's husband, which again, you could also say it might be the cleaning lady's husband. But again, there was no evidence that pointed to her or her husband.
Mhm.
Um, fly into the parking lot screaming at this motel. And he tells Eric, if you don't leave my wife alone, I'm going to put a bullet in your head. And then he disappeared shortly thereafter. And Kendra herself told Eric's mom that she thought Eric had inherited $1 million when his father passed away. And the mom states, like, I would have to be gone before they could inherit everything. They did get an inheritance, but not $1 million. So she thought that after Eric died, her daughter would then get the inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
So they take cadaver dogs out to the property where Kendra and her husband had lived, but they didn't find anything. Oh, I guess I did write on the back. Um, in April 2014, both Emily, the daughter, and Kendra are both diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. So they're actually kind of going through the fight together. So Joanne, Eric's mom, calls Emily and wants to donate to the cancer fund in Eric's name. And she spoke to her on the phone, and she says like she was very polite, very soft spoken. But she was with her boyfriend. Could she call her back and talk to her? Because Joanne wanted to meet her. That's her granddaughter.
Mhm.
A text comes through later that Joanne doesn't believe came from Emily that said she didn't want to meet her. She really wanted nothing to do with her. So at that point, she just packs up her shit and goes back home. Because again, Joanne and the sister, I don't know if I said this, Joanne and the sister had went down to Florida after the diagnosis. In September of 2016, Kendra passes away from this breast cancer. Now, the daughter, as far as I know, is alive and well and doing fine. And yeah, it's sad when anyone dies of cancer. So she was sad that someone her son loved had passed away, her granddaughter's brother, but she was pissed at the same time because she died with a lot of answers. Or like
Mhm.
she had answers that, you know,
Get all the answers.
yeah. So that all came from the episode of Disappeared. Now remember I said they hadn't found the car yet. In September of 2020, and this is from mlive.com. More than 9 years after Eric vanished, his car turns up in northern Michigan. What had happened was, okay, there was a person from California. Okay, never mind. Okay, a person from California who was a student, but she was getting distracted watching YouTube videos of Eric's case. Now, I've never looked into YouTube to find information. I do know there is a podcast called, I believe it's The Vanished, that did a 2-part episode, which was really good. And I probably should just say go listen to that. But you know, this is one of the cases I've wanted to do for a while.
Mhm.
So she decides, now I don't know how, like what information she had besides just a 2001 tan Chevy Malibu. I don't know what information you need, but she ran a Carfax report. And Eric's brother-in-law, who's kind of like the family spokesperson when it
Mhm.
comes to the news, like his mom was on the episode of Disappeared, and I know she is like the main one that runs the Facebook page, but the brother-in-law is the one that talks to like the press. That he had never thought to run a Carfax report on the car, but they were also convinced that the car was destroyed at the bottom of a lake, burned,
Something.
not in existence.
Right.
Um, the Carfax report show that the car had a title issued in Saginaw County on August 21st, followed by an oil change in Clare on August 31st. And this article is from September 10th, 2020. So like right before she does this search, all this shit happened. Oh, had she run it 2 weeks prior, nothing would have shown up because these were all fresh records.
Oh, dang.
Now, it was in the garage of an elderly man who had passed away, and there was an estate sale and this car was sold as part of the estate sale and no one knew where this car came from. But here's the funny thing. Kendra was this elderly man's caretaker before she moved to Florida.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah. So yeah, the article states, now this is the brother-in-law, which is Chad Bose. I was telling myself it's probably an error. It's probably a typo. And that's what he said about the Carfax information. They visited the business where the Malibu had its oil changed and were connected by staff there with the man who owned it. They then visited the car's current owner, also in Clare, which that's where Roy's going to be in a couple weeks for 4th of July. So interesting. It's like it all ties.
Mhm.
The guy works at a dealership, but bought the vehicle for himself from a person who had bought it at an estate sale. The estate sale was in Saginaw. It had been there the whole time. So for over 9 years, that
That's nuts.
car sat in a garage in Saginaw in a home where Kendra worked.
How did they not think to look there?
I don't
I mean, if
know.
they were investigating her, why wouldn't they have looked at where she worked?
Because that might have been a side job. Because it never says like if she worked for an agency. Like I've actually done in-home healthcare as not part of an agency. That paid great fucking money, by the way. Great money. So it might have been like things she did on the side.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
And of course, too, if she had hit it there, she's not going to tell the police that she works there, of course. So, yeah, I guess that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah. So and they said they were amazed to see it was in shiny condition. And at that, by this time, it's a 19-year-old car
Yeah.
and it's in good condition. So then after confirming it was the same car, police loaded the Malibu on a flatbed truck and took it from the scene. It is now at the time of this article, was at the Michigan State Police Crime Lab, and it's going to be processed. Hopefully, it will unveil some sort of investigation lead for us. So, and then the article goes into a recap about how he had moved from Ohio to Saginaw to be closer to his teenage daughter, former girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And then how he was reported missing months later. So, yeah. Then it said that she had seen the ex-girlfriend told police she had seen Franks removing belongings out of his hotel room before heading north on Dixie Highway.
A lot of lies in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So they have found the car. And I do know, and I haven't looked recently to see, but there was some remains found. And it's really weird because anytime I hear of remains being found, like in the Saginaw, Hemlock, Merrill area, that's like where my mind goes. And anytime there's remains found, the Michigan State Police call his mother. So and that's pretty much the story.
That's sad. I hope they find him.
His mother believes he's dead.
Yeah.
Which is sad to think or know that he's gone and you've gotten no closure.
Yeah.
And honestly, I did reach out through the Facebook page to his mother to see if she would be willing to come on our podcast. But I got no response. And I thought, worst that could happen is no response, or she's going to say, no, I've already done a podcast, or
Mhm.
like she did the episode, it disappeared. So, but yeah,
It was
it's
worth a
always,
shot.
yeah, it's always been intriguing to me because, well, one, it's local,
Yeah, very local.
and then, like I said, I like that one day I was just staring, and Roy's like, "Are you flirting with the waiter?" And I'm like, "No, he looks like that dude." He was like, "What dude?" So I had explained to him about the whole thing, and
Hmm.
I don't know. It's always fun every time me and Roy go out to dinner. There was one time we were out to dinner at Uno's, where we all yeah
Got the
that
fish.
nope, that was Big Bill's.
Oh,
Uno's was the
pizza.
first time, like when that whole big ass group.
The pizza.
Yeah, when I left my car. Shh,
Yep.
Roy still doesn't know. I left my car running the entire time I was in a restaurant because I was so excited to meet these people.
Yep. That was the first time we all met. And yeah, if I remember correctly, I was awake for 2 days. And I could hardly eat because I was so excited about everything.
Yeah,
And yeah, and then when I crashed, like I crashed hard. And then I drove back to Wisconsin and crashed again.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, but one time Roy and I were in there eating and oh my God, I can't think of their last name. Braley.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
when Tom and Stephanie Braley first reopened the Court Theater after
Hmm.
they bought it, and there was an article about it, and because I'm scrolling through my phone, and then it started showing stuff that my dad used,
Nice.
and I just start bawling in the middle of this restaurant.
Oh no.
Roy's like, what's wrong? People are probably thinking he's dumping me because I am just like full on sobbing.
Hmm.
Like, calls my brother, your sister's crying. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I couldn't even tell him. I had to show him. Yeah, I had to show him my phone because I couldn't even tell him.
Yeah.
It's not one of my prouder moments.
We've all got a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, ma'am. We should get off of here so you can get to bed because it is 2:38 in the morning
Yes,
for
it
you.
is. Yes. Um, and I'm sure I'll be woken up by Snapchat calls.
I I don't know how I'm gonna be woken up yet, but I guarantee it unpleasant.
It'll probably be by an excited kid not having to go to school.
I don't know. We shall find out.
Now, in the summer, is he a late sleeper?
No.
No,
No.
I was. Like growing up,
Dave.
I I'm a night owl. I've never been a morning person. Never.
Yep. Yep. Same.
Because like now, I don't know about everywhere, but here kindergarten is all day. But when I was in school, you had AM or PM. Even my mom knew I'm not signing her up for AM because she ain't getting up. So I was like AM preschool, or I was in PM preschool and PM kindergarten. And let me tell you, when I started them full days of school, fuck you very much. Because that sucked being up that early.
Right.
Um,
I mean, for Pete's sake.
it was
I still fight that getting up that freaking early because there are kids that have to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready for school.
Yeah.
And then just to ride the bus for an hour, hour and a half. It's like, God damn.
Yeah. Not me. No, thank you. Now, when I was in high school, I I lived far enough to take the bus, but I wasn't taking the bus because in order to get on the bus, I would have had to get up at like 4:30 because you had to be on the bus by 6. And then I think school started at like 7:30. So you're on a bus for an hour and a half or close to an hour and a half. No, I will walk. I'll leave my house at 7 and get there on time.
Yeah, I didn't live close enough in high school. So I did have to take the bus. However, I was one of those kids that woke up 10 minutes before the bus got there.
Now, see, and I've always been a slow waker upper. I can't just get up and do anything.
Yeah, not
I
me.
like I can't. I mean, back then I didn't wake up and have a cup of coffee, but like now I gotta wake up, have a cup of coffee, maybe a second one.
Back then, I couldn't stand the smell of coffee
Mm. I've
because
always,
I would get up in the morning and I would have to start the coffee pot for my dad. And then I would start getting ready. And then as I was getting like in my room getting ready, he would get up, get his cup of coffee and all that. And so the coffee would waft through the entire house. And yeah, I couldn't stand it.
see my mom for years. Well, when I was little, my mom was a tea drinker. And then after her and my stepdad got together, she became a coffee drinker. And he had one of those old fashioned like percolator pots where
Hmm.
you had to put the stand in the basket.
Yep, I know those.
Yep. He had that. My mom used that for years. And then one year I was like, that's such a pain in the ass to clean. We're buying you
Yeah,
a we're buying you a coffee pot.
there you go. Mhm. All right, ma'am. I am tired as shit.
Well, yeah, you took a Benadryl.
But hey, I managed to stay awake, made it through the whole episode.
That's awesome. That's all I can hope for.
There we go. Because I still love my sleep.
I do love my sleep, and that's where I'm going now. I'm gonna wash my face and go to bed.
All right. Talk to you later.
And this is gonna be out early because I'm
Okay.
not gonna be around to do it Sunday.
All right.
All right. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Bye.
Uh-huh. Bye.